Welcome back to the XandO Sports Show. I'm your host, Ricky G. Stanley, and we have had some very interesting events in this past week/weekend in sports events. Let's go ahead and get started. The first one is kind of a heart, tugger. For my viewers that really know me personally, I've had one favorite player since I was a little kid, and for 32 years of living, I've watched Kobe Bean Bryant play. Kobe was a little bit closer to my age. He's like 40, you'd have been like 43, and I'm 32. So, like I said, I've watched him as early as when he first got drafted. And I want to say when he got drafted, he was on the sitcom called Moesha. A long time ago. Show my age a little bit. But like I said, I watched him on the sitcom, and he filmed the episode a few months right after his high school prom. So I was like, okay, I'm a kid. He's in high school, so we're close to the same age. So that's what kind of separated me from having Michael Jordan as my favorite player. Because, like, everybody loved Mike, but I could relate to Kobe a little bit better just because the fact that he was closer to my age. So, like I said, watching him, of course, he was a star on the show, but nobody really knew that he was about to be a legend in the making. So, Kobe Bean Bryant this weekend was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Now, as for my viewers, no, I did not watch his speech. No, it's a hard subject. I eventually get around to it, but glad he was inducted to the Hall of Fame. I always felt like he would have been a first ballot Hall of Famer no matter what. Like I said, his career, his body of work, it was not a doubt in my mind that he'd been first ballot. But the fact that, he's no longer here, that kind of sucks. But like I said, I'm pretty sure Mike and his wife, from what I was reading, they did a great speech, and it was a great tribute to him. As for Kobe and his career, I'm going to bring up some stat lines for him. I said, as a proud fan to see this, with his career, he averaged right around 25 points, 5.2 rebounds, and 4.2 assists per game. Like I said, you got to have a lot of points over your career to average 25. And we know all about the 60-point games, the 81-point games. Shout out to Jalen Rose. He was on that team that they called that 81-point defensive collapse. That guy, I want to say Kobe, when he hit 81, it was like pretty much everybody knew he was getting the ball and he was just putting up shots like, you got to stop me tonight. Didn't matter if they double team him, triple team him, he was just hot that night. So, like I said, he had 25 points a game. I said Kobe was a 12-time All-Star for a defensive team. That is very hard to do. So 12-time all-defense. For people not familiar with that, it is very hard to be a two-way player. Like most guys they're just scorers, or some guys are like Dikembe Mutombo, they just stop people, defense, hard fouls. Like I said, it is very hard. I know, of course, Michael Jordan was a two-way player. I feel like Scottie Pippen was a very good two-way player. Use Dennis Rodman as an example. He had good offense, but he was known for his defense as well as, his rebounding. Of course, Kobe, I would put Paul George in that category. Before he hurt his leg, I feel like Paul George was right at that tier of 1 through 3 and top two-way player. Of course, Kawhi Leonard. LeBron, I feel like better in his prime. He was pretty good two-way player. But a lot of guys ain't two-way players out there. They give you all offense or all defense. A little bit in between. They might give you 15 points and rest defense. These guys that I'm naming, they will play your best player on defense and give you 25 points. That's what I classify as a very good defensive player as well as an offensive threat. Two ways. That's how you get paid the big bucks. Now, if you like Steph Curry, can shoot from 65 feet accurately, get paid the big bucks that way. But like I said, Steph, I admired his career. I love his body of work. Love watching him play. But he is not on that list of two-way players. I don't think it's not because Steph can't play defense. I just think his size is what kind of stops that. and 2, he's most of the offensive power they had outside of Kevin Durant. Like I said, Klay Thompson did his thing. Oh, sorry. Klay Thompson was a very good two-way player. So he did his thing, but most of the time Klay took the best player and played defense against him, or Andre Iguodala. But like I said, Kobe also had 4 NBA All-Star Most Valuable Players, 2 NBA Finals MVPs, and 1 NBA MVP. Even though I feel like he was robbed that year that Steve Nash won it. But, Steve Nash did have a better year that year. So, yeah, that's my mother calling. But, so, also, Kobe has 2 gold medals in the Olympics. And he's number 4 all-time in scoring. Number 2, the most points in a game with 80. Of course, he got the 81-point game against Jalen Rose. Like I said, I go on and on about his stats, but like I said, Kobe's legacy is cemented in history. And in my humble opinion, Kobe is the best scorer ever in basketball. I'll put him up against anybody. The best scorer ever. I feel like, his game was complete. He had the mid-range. He can shoot the 3-ball. He can finish at the rim. If you give him a step, he's going to dunk on you and your buddy. Like I said, he didn't have too many weaknesses in his game. People are like, oh, he didn't pass the ball. He didn't play point guard. He played shooting guard. He was a scorer, and he was an assassin. I mean, he did average 4.7 assists. That's better than I thought it was. So, hey, that's what they had Derek Fisher for, to set up the offense and pass the ball. He was there to score. But also a shout out to Kevin Garnett and Tim Duncan. Most people know Tim Duncan as the big fundamental. Kevin Garnett is the big ticket. Those guys were also inducted as well. So shout out to those guys. They had a great career as well. I want to say Kevin Garnett came out in the 95 draft. And I want to say Tim came out around the same time. I don't think they came out the same year, because I want to say Kevin Garnett came out from high school, and Tim did 4 years at the great Wake Forest. So let me see. Let me pull up the interesting NBA standings, because everybody know I'm a Laker fan, and we are in trouble. So my biggest fear was we were going to have to play in this play-in tournament. But I also didn't mind us playing in the play-in tournament, but I didn't want to play against Golden State. Golden State, I feel like I'd rather see Golden State play someone else than we play them later. It's not that I'm afraid of them. I just think it's good for basketball. So we're going to get a show in the first play-in game tomorrow, which is going to be Tuesday. So make sure you tune in to that. I probably will be covering it on Twitter. I probably won't do a video on that until later on that week. So as of right now, Philadelphia is locked in at the 1 seed in the East. They actually beat out the Brooklyn Nets by 1 game. Milwaukee is the number 3 seed. And, of course, the Knicks having a good year, so they're the number 4 seed. Utah beat everybody out this year. For the 1 seed, Phoenix is 2. The Denver Nuggets is 3. And the LA Clippers is the 4th seed. We're hanging there in the play-in at 7. Golden State is at 8. Memphis Grizzlies is at 9. And San Antonio Spurs is at 10. And a lot of people are big fans of the Pelicans. You guys played well, but you guys did not make it. And I feel like the Pelicans are going to need a lot more coaching. I don't think it's players anymore of why they're not winning. A, it's tough to play in the West. And 2, I think it's coaching. So I think they're like 1 or 2 years away. But the hard part is if they make it to the playoffs, who is not going to make it? And, that's the hard part about being in the West. I mean, you got to bring it every year. So Zion, stay off that gumbo. Stay off those biscuits. I think you're going to be all right. All right, moving on to another sport. This caught my attention. I remember watching this this athlete 2 years ago. They hit the scene running, and it was not even close. You guys remember Sha'Carri Richardson from LSU. The girl could run. I mean, when I watched her at LSU, I was blown away of how easily she was running people down from behind. Now, give you a little background on her. She's 5'1", and I think she's 5'1.5" with the track spikes on. So normally when you're that, I don't want to call her short, but normally when you're not as tall, you're mostly coming out the brakes and you're out of there. The first 60 meters, people have to catch you. She has what we call afterburners. She comes out of the block strong and hard, but that overturn after that drive phase, whoo, she can run. Like I said, she blew everybody pretty much out the water. I think she only came in second once at LSU. She maybe, I don't remember if she did or not. So I remember when she was running and she decided she was going to go pro. I was like, okay. But the difference between going, like I said, she was the fastest in college, hands down. But when you go from a college level in any sport, when you get to the pros, it's a lot different. Even in golf, basketball, you gotta bring it that much more. So I remember the first race in the first heat that she ever raced for pros, and I was like, okay, this should be cool. She's running up against grown women now, and the fact that the difference between college and track for pros is these women feeding their kids with this money. Or you can get this work if you don't bring it. Sha'Carri Richardson finished 8th in that race. Now all of them were lined up at the end, but it's just the fact that you have to bring it that much more. So her first year didn't go as well in track, to my opinion. I don't think it went as well. Year 2, this year, she can, like I said, she can run, but whoever her coach is, they took her, and I guess they worked on a few things, and this girl is kablazing. Lord have mercy. I watched her the other day, and I'm like, okay, well, she's at the outside, okay. Normally 7 and 8, if I'm not mistaken, 2 in the middle are normally had the better times, and that's why they put them in the middle. I think that's why. I can't remember. So they come out the block strong, hard, overturn, drive. Well, I think that swapped. But she beats everybody. And this is the pro. She beats everybody. And I'm just like, uh-oh, Houston, we have a problem. Because she's 21 years old, and she's already the 6th fastest woman ever. So if I'm not mistaken, let me look at my notes. In the 100 meters, she ran a 10.77 the other day with a negative wind. So for me, if you're not familiar with the negative wind, they actually shave off a little bit off your time, depends on how the wind is blowing. So granted, her official time was a 10.77, but they actually let her know, like, hey, with the negative wind, it was actually in the 10.6 range. That is blazing. She's 5'1". Like I said, it's not like she's like, 5'10" with a long stride. No, she is coming out of the blocks with them afterburners, and she dusted off everybody. So, when she did her interview, she was like, it's not the time that she wanted, because I think her best so far is a 10.72, which is listed as the 6th fastest woman ever. So I think that she got a good chance, if she keeps working and stay healthy, she got a chance to go get the FloJo record. I'm looking forward to that. Like I said, Sha'Carri is 21 years of age. She got youth behind her, and she stays healthy and, keeps staying hungry. I think that she is going to break more records to come. So, like I said, on April the 10th, I'll be looking forward to she ran on April the 10th. So I'll be looking forward to her in a whole lot more races. But like I said, I think this one is going to be special. I think she's going to be special. But keep sure to look out for her. I think it's easy to find her because I think normally her hair is red or blue. She says she does that says she does it to embrace, the color. I was like, okay, cool. Man, it looks pretty cool to me. I mean, I never seen anybody wear, the long hair with the blue and with the nails and stuff, and she can still run track well. So, hey, more power to you. I'll be watching. Moving on to baseball. This has been very interesting with the baseball, just because of the simple fact that the baseball is going up and down. You have teams that are doing well for like 7-8 games, then they drop off the face of the earth. So teams are starting to move players around, starting to do trades. So like I feel that this is the thick of it when people start digging in, because you got like over 150 games of baseball. Nobody's gonna play hard for all 150 unless they have something to prove and they're trying to like break a record. But if you already lost 20 games in the first 50, you're not probably gonna get that record. So the good thing is Albert Pujols has found a new home. He has moved from the Angels to the Dodgers. And, Mr. Pujols is known for, putting a couple over the fence in his day. So, like I said, he'll be bringing some veteranship and leadership to the Dodgers with his bat as well as, his skill level. Like I said, I'm pretty sure the Dodgers can use as many bats as they can. So, if I'm guessing, they're probably going to use him as a designated DH. Like I said, I don't know if he plays in the field at his age now, but like I said, he's still going to be a DH, so that'll be good. Also, the rankings came out for Major League Baseball. I was not surprised with the first four because I just feel like these guys are just this much better than everybody else right now. Like I said, we're only 40-some games in, and these guys are this much better than, so I only did 1 through 4. 5 through whatever, I feel like these dudes are just that much elite. So, of course, number one, he's been doing this for a while. He's been playing well since his rookie year. I remember watching him his rookie year. He actually ran through a wall for a fly ball and broke his jaw. And his coach was pissed because, you're the best player. But I don't have a problem with that. If that's how you play all the time and you run through a wall to go get a fly ball, I love that. I love it. I'm going to be a little upset if you got to miss 6 weeks for a broken jaw, but I love his effort. You're my star player and you giving me that type of effort. I feel like I'm getting my money's worth every game you're out there. So, like I said, Mike Trout is number 1 in Major League Baseball. Pretty sure if you follow baseball, everybody kind of knew. And he's kind of like the Patrick Mahomes of baseball. He's that much over everybody else. He puts in the work, he puts in the time, and there's no hype about him. He can play. All right, like I said, he's been at that high level for a long time. So, like I said, that wasn't a surprise. Number 2 is Mookie Betts. Like I said, Mookie Betts has been a great defender. He's been doing some things in the outfield I've never really seen people do. He is a weapon in the outfield. I remember somebody hit a shallow fly ball in the right field a couple years ago. He catches it on one bounce, and a guy tries to steal second, and he throws him out from right field. That, as a runner, that's in your mind that your buddy just got thrown out from way out there. He got a gun. He could throw that thing. The fact that he can throw you out from that far out, you're not going to get too many extra bases. So I remember the same thing happened a couple games later. And the guy goes from second to third. And like I said, Mookie hoses him and throws him out at third. And I'm looking like, dude. Yeah, Mookie Betts is maybe 185 soaking wet. But he can throw that baseball from the right field. And I'm just like, that is scary that if I steal a base or try to tag up, this dude can still throw me out no matter where I'm running from. So, like I said, Mookie Betts, shout out to him because I want to say he was in the ranked number 11 last year. So Mookie Betts is at number 2. Number 3 is Juan Soto from the Nationals. I've watched him a couple years now. I think he's a legit number 3. I don't have a problem with that. Number 4 made me laugh because I was just like, this dude is about to give Mike Trout a run for his money in a couple years. Ronald, I think it's Acuna Jr. I think that's how you pronounce his last name, from the Atlanta Braves. This dude can play. Now, I haven't really seen him in the field, but I know with hitting the baseball, he's giving a lot of people some work. Like I said, and I feel like he's just naturally raw. That he's strong and he can hit. And I did notice from last year to this year, he ain't afraid of no breaking ball. He put a couple across. I think we pitched to him a couple times. I'm looking like, why? And, of course, I think he had 2 home runs on us, so I was pissed, of course. Certain players you just don't pitch to. If the game is close, this guy's already got, 12, 14 home runs on the season. He can get it over there. I'm throwing it in the dirt or I'm throwing it away from him. Unless those bases are loaded, I'm not going to pitch to him. Arrogance will not get in my way. Nope. So as for the standings in baseball, we have Boston Red Sox. They are the number 1 in the American League East. The White Sox are still hanging on for the lead in the Central. Oakland Athletics are still balling out. They're number 1 in the West. Of course, my Phillies can't put 5 games together, so we are number 2 in the National League East, and the Mets are ahead of us. Even though we have more wins, but we have more losses. Central, is St. Louis Cardinals. They're 23-18, and the Giants in the West are running that side over there, and they're 25-16. But the Padres are on their heels. So, like I said, Major League Baseball. I love when the playoff comes because the playoffs start right around that September, October. So then you get the NFL just starting. The games are coming on. Then you got the Major League Baseball. Then you got basketball at the end of October. Give me goosebumps. It's a whole lot of sports. So I love that time of year. But of course, we got to get through May, June. So baseball is my segue, and basketball until we get to the football season. So let's move on to the NFL. So as for the NFL, mini camps are coming soon. For a lot of the teams. I'm curious, and I love the mini camps because I get to see a lot of the young players actually get up and run around and move a little bit. So like I said, I like that, and looking forward to seeing these rookies run, especially for my Eagles. One thing that I did notice, 2 players I'm gonna keep my eye on. And like I said, it's funny to me because a couple years ago, this guy played for Carolina, and one of the commentators said that he was one Popeye's biscuit from being a tight end. Guess what? Kelvin Benjamin is now listed as a tight end for the New York Giants. I really don't think that Kelvin Benjamin is going to play tight end blocking. Like I said, I feel like he still can outrun some linebackers, so I don't have a problem with him being a tight end. But I don't think he's going to block a soul because you blocking a defensive end or outside linebacker is way different from blocking a corner and a safety. So it's going to be more will than anything else. The other player I'm going to keep my eye on is Tim Tebow. He's prospected as being a tight end as well. I really feel that Tim he's going to get his head knocked off. Not because he ain't tough. I feel like people are going to be gunning for Tim Tebow for outside purposes. So I feel like Tim Tebow, you might want to keep your head on the swivel. Because guys like, Tim Tebow back in the league? Okay, say less. So these guys, if Tim Tebow lines up on the end line as a Y beside that tackle, I know the first outside linebacker is going to run through his face. Now, like I said, Tim Tebow was tough, so I don't think he's weak or he's soft. But as a person that went from playing a quarterback position to tight end, that first year was rough. That contact is way different. I was sore every day. Lord have mercy. I'd never forget that. So like I said, that's gonna be tough. But Tim, I can say, he's pretty tough, but he's been out of the league for 10 years, so I don't know how he's gonna transition to being a tight end. And been out of, I don't think it's been 10 years. It might have been 6 years. But the thing is, he's been out of the league so long, and all of a sudden now you're going to go back into a physical position like that. So good luck, Tim Tebow. But as for Kelvin Benjamin, like I said, he had to be on a diet so many years to keep his weight under control. And they can finally eat that gumbo, that Popeyes, those biscuits all he wants because he's going to need that weight to play tight end. 2 teams I will be keeping my eye on, of course, outside of my Eagles, are going to be the Saints and the Chargers. If you guys get a chance, keep an eye on these 2 teams because I feel like they're very interesting because it's going to either be a deal breaker or they're going to flop. So I feel like the Chargers, I'm looking forward to, let's start with the Saints first. Sean Payton has Jameis Winston now. Everybody's like, Jameis Winston went 30 for 30. All right, but Jameis Winston was in that offense last year. He learned from Drew Brees. He learned from Sean Payton, and he's going to be in his second year in that offense. Jameis Winston played for a franchise that was not sturdy with the Buccaneers. They were just throwing pieces out there and trying to win games. But the thing is, Jameis Winston never really had the coaching that he needed, and he was very immature. Now Jameis is 26. He's also, like I said, he's never lacked arm strength. So Sean's going to have a guy that can really get it down the field now. If Sean can cut back on his mistakes down the field, I think the Saints have a very good chance because their defense is still pretty good. So like I said, they're not, like I said, I don't think Drew Brees was an issue hindering them, but they really couldn't get the ball down the field all the time because when they found out that Drew couldn't throw it 40 and 50 yards down the field, he was no longer a threat. So they left those hitch routes and those comeback routes wide open because that was the only route that they really didn't have to cover because once you get in the red zone, you ain't gonna be able to throw that route. Like I said, with I think they're cut back on his mistakes with more screens or underneath throws, but when he do let him cut it loose, I think Jameis is going to air it out. So, like I said, the other team, the Chargers. I feel like the Chargers have a very good chance because they have a lot of offensive weapons, and the fact that they're building on the offensive line. I feel like the Raiders, I think it's the Raiders, the Broncos are their biggest threat, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, the Chiefs, the Raiders. So the Chiefs are going to be the biggest threat. They're not going to beat out the Chiefs. But I feel like when they played against the Chiefs last year, they didn't play afraid. So I think they'll be the biggest competitor to the Chiefs. Like I said, that young quarterback, he showed me a whole lot last year. So I think he's going to be pretty good coming into this year. You know, he's going to have more command of the offense. Like I said, the guys that played with him enjoyed playing, and like the fact that even though they weren't winning, they rallied behind him. He did a quarterback sneak, and the fact that he took a hit and the guys loved it. They got up, they pat him on the head. They feed off things like that. So I think the Chargers going to be a very interesting team, and I feel like, hey, I'm gonna go out on a limb, and it could fall back in my face. But I think that if Jameis Winston plays well this year, he could be an MVP candidate. I didn't say he gonna win it, but I feel like he could be a candidate. So just watch out for those two quarterbacks. Like I said, I think Justin Herbert is one step away from being in the right direction. He got a solid defense and a lot of offensive weapons. But it's going to be very interesting. Looking forward to my Eagles getting some guys out there to see what we got at wide receiver. I feel like Jalen Hurts. I've seen his game. I've seen his pros. I've seen his cons. I like what he brings. He is not afraid to throw the football. His biggest problem was accuracy. And tight windows, though. There's only tight windows. He can throw the ball on the field and he's not afraid to throw it. So I feel like the play calling is what is going to be, is going to be key to his success. Like I said, we got a good running back, and he's very good in the passing game. So we can really use that kid as like a a Brian Westbrook. We can use him in that form. Like we use him in the passing game. We could run him. We don't have to run him in the ground, run the ball 32 times. But I say good 25 carries, a couple screen passes, maybe 5 or 6 to his way, to keep everything honest and keep teams from blitzing us to death. So I feel like my Eagles have a good chance this year because I really don't think the Redskins have their quarterback. I feel like the Cowboys have the biggest chance to win it, but they're always good for blowing it. And the Giants, I never feared ever. We've lost to them, but I don't go in like, oh, God, we're playing the Giants this week. I never feel like that. I always get a little nervous when we play the Cowboys because it doesn't matter if they're good or bad. They always bring it. And it's rare that we just blow them out every year. So, like I said, the Redskins, they play us tough. The Giants, even though we lose to them, I'm like, we just had a bad game. But everybody, hey, you guys be sure to check out the play-in games. Like I said, the Lakers play the Warriors. And the Spurs play against I ain't gonna say great yet, the good Ja Morant. I feel like he's on his way, and I feel like that people are kind of pissing him off just because they won't put him in the top 5 yet. Pump your brakes, young man. Keep doing what you're doing. I think you're going to be great eventually. Like I said, you got to wait your time. But speaking of time, this is my time. I'm your host, Ricky G. Stanley, and I am out of here.